Question. And probably Tom is the guy to give us at least a first answer to it. Isn't Jackson 2, the trial, really all about the continuing vitality of reasonable doubt, given that many of the jurors said after the trial that they believed Jackson was guilty, but that it just hadn't been proved beyond a reasonable doubt? Didn't the problems with the mother alone create reasonable doubt regardless of Jackson's guilt?
Well, first of all, my understanding was that one juror said that. That was the civil engineer, said that he felt there was definitely reasonable doubt, and that's why he voted for acquittal. I don't recall any other juror saying that I just did this on the basis of reasonable doubt. Maybe they did. I don't recall that. I know some of the jurors I talked to were just appalled at the charges and appalled at the quality of the witnesses and the testimony. I do think this verdict was a great victory for the justice system. It showed that jurors take their job very seriously, that they're impervious to media onslaughts, that they try to do what's right. They try to look at the evidence in the courtroom, and I think it was a great testament to the validity and the integrity and fairness of our jury system.
Here's a question, a procedural question, really, Larry and Carl. How did a three-judge settlement panel get established? Because that's unusual in the Superior Court. My guess is you were mediating, but you tell me.
Well, we had to have a safe place because we were, I forget what our trial date was.
March 24th.
So it was March 24th. And really, Johnny got in the case, in, as Carl said, I guess December, and this all happened in January. So, and there had never been a discussion about resolving the case on either side up until then. And I think we wanted, as Carl said, Johnny had been doing a lot of plaintiff's work, and so we wanted judges that we could trust. And both sides had a lot of convincing to do of their respective clients about settling and the value of the case and what's in the best interest of the young boy, and from their perspective, what was in the interest of Michael Jackson. And that wasn't simple. And we thought if we could get more than one judge, three respected judges, respected, that we had a much better chance to get the case resolved. So we picked three judges, all retired, all with well-liked by at least Johnny and I speak for Carl. We had a lot of respect for him. We had appeared before him many, many times. We tried cases before these judges. I mean, we really knew them, and we trust them. And that's how that occurred. And
so that was just a voluntary agreement.
Just a total voluntary agreement. To put it into some context, at the point this case settled, a lot of witnesses had been deposed, but Michael Jackson had not been deposed. And at some point in time, Michael Jackson was going to have to decide whether he was going to take the Fifth Amendment, which he didn't at that point, or whether he was going to let us depose him. And there was a lot of procedural maneuvering by the defense to try to keep putting that decision off. And as that decision and their moves were not able to accomplish what they wanted, which was never to have Michael Jackson take the Fifth Amendment. And, you know, if Michael Jackson takes the Fifth Amendment in a civil case, that is bad for that civil case. And that's probably bad for him ultimately winning. We can all say that the Constitution, you have a right to do it, and blah, blah, blah. We'd all say you do, but the practical effect of that in front of a jury would be devastating in the public at that time for his career. So we had narrowed the moves that he could make to try to keep putting off this deposition. We sent him interrogatories. They didn't answer him. We noticed his depo. He didn't show. I mean, so... You know, and we were playing against, we're down to the last 60 days, basically. So I think that that was the stage of this thing. The one thing you get in these cases, I'm sure it's for both sides, you get a lot of people that want to testify, that come up with these stories that you know, when the phone rings and you hear the story, you think you got a great witness. And then as you spend the money and the time and the energy to chase down the story to see if there's any accuracy, you find out that these people are not truthful. They just want to get involved in the case. And so it's the job of both sides, and it winds up on the plaintiff's side costing an awful lot of money that in contingent cases you're generally advancing to find out really who are the real witnesses that aren't going to get destroyed, and which of those witnesses really hold up on cross-examination, which of those witnesses have corroboration. And in Jackson 1, when there finally was somebody that we cracked, the first thing they did is they ran to the media, ran to the television and got paid to give their story on television before we got them on a deposition under oath. They ultimately testified under oath, but I mean, those kinds of issues where somebody's getting paid just are devastating. And you put it in the hands of Johnny or Tom or Carl, and you give them a witness who's gotten paid to give their testimony, even if they're telling the truth. By the time they get done with them, they're not, you know, jury's going to have doubt about that witness. And so in these high publicity cases, you are confronted with that. And the other point I'd just like to make is this, that we haven't talked about. It's the next case that you could also worry about. When you're on television, I mean, a guy like Tom, I guess you would notice him with his hair and stuff. The next case, if he has a juror who thought Michael Jackson was guilty and that he did something wrong in defending him, that could work against the next client. In the civil arena, we found just the opposite of what Michael. In the next cases I tried, and we would be screening jurors, we found that it helped the jurors. It helped me in every case thereafter. The jurors recognized me from that case at that time. So it's very important that when you do this, you do it right. You cannot make a fool out of yourself. You cannot be one of these people that are on television all the time just spouting out. You have to do it with a bit of class and hopefully a little professionalism, so that no matter how it comes out, you come out okay for the next case and the next client.
And if I adopt everything that Larry said, and in our perspective, you got to remember that there was a companion criminal case or investigation going on by both the district attorney's office in Los Angeles and in Santa Barbara. There had been an occasion when Michael Jackson was examined and his genitalia was recorded, which was part of an investigation. And that was the 300-pound gorilla in the mediation room. We wanted to do all that we could to avoid the possibility that there would be a criminal criminal filing against Michael Jackson. And the reality was, we were hopeful that if we were able to, quote-unquote, silence the accuser, that would obviate the need for any concern about the criminal side. So from our perspective, there was a great deal of trust, not only with Johnny and Larry, because they had a 20-year prior friendship. There was tremendous trust with Johnny and the three judges being recommended. And we were facing the purple gorilla in the room of, if we don't get this case settled before March, there is a criminal investigation looming, and no one wanted to consider the implications of that as it affected Michael Jackson, the king of pop.
Thank you. Thank you. You have almost earned your 3 hours and 15 minutes of credit, but I have one more question to which I will only accept one answer, and I'm not sure we will get one. But having heard what we have, Now, the question that I indicated that we should look at some time is, what do you think was the most interesting, unusual, surprising, spectacular event in the trial? There wasn't any. It certainly wasn't the pajama incident.
For me, the most spectacular event was verdict day.
That's
The
always
energy,
a first.
the energy, the just moment to moment wait for Michael and his friends and family to arrive at the courthouse. I'll never forget that day. It's very difficult to describe. Woke up that morning and just had a feeling something wild was going to happen, and I wasn't wrong. It just was every second seemed like 10 hours.